Welcome everyone to the first ever remote member meetup. I am Megan Davies, the head of memberships and community. And the reason we're doing this is obviously over the last 5 years, Women in Streaming Media has grown tremendously from, I think it was kind of 100 on LinkedIn to almost 1,300, which is amazing. And traditionally, we've always met at meetups, events, etc. But we really want a way for our members to connect on a monthly basis wherever you are in the world so that we can really engage our community across the board. So we will be doing these on a monthly basis, and we're really excited to just have about half of the meeting just giving you updates, letting you know what we're doing in the community. And then the other half of the meeting will be around a guest speaker, just to provide, great value for kind of things that were coming up in the community and things that we think are important to talk about. So what we'll be talking about today, we'll have a quick welcome and intro to the board for those of you that don't know who we are. And then we'll talk a little bit about the events we have coming up, so mainly IBC, and Polly doing her 3 Peaks Challenge. After that, I'll pass you over to our guest speaker, who is Rose Caiazzo. She'll be talking about social media, live streaming, and you. Then we'll have a quick Q&A at the end, and we'll be launching our live streaming secret circle with Rose. And then I'll give you the details for the next remote member meetup date. So who are we? So for those of you that may have known us for a while or may have just joined, we have 6 board members on Women in Streaming Media, but our founder and president is Alicia Pritchett. She's all of us are on the call today as well, but this is Alicia. She founded Women in Streaming Media 5 years ago. So she's done a tremendous job in really bringing everyone together and making this community what it is. Then we have Megan Wagner, who is the Vice President and Head of Mentorship. She launched our mentorship program. This was the program that garnered the award at IBC for the special projects category, and we'll be talking about that in a bit. And she's been running the mentorship program for the last 5 years, really bringing women together with companies to grow their careers. We also have Florence, who is our head of speaker engagement. So whenever you see a Women in Streaming member on the board or one of our members speaking on stage, that'll be Florence who has placed them there. And then you have myself, who's head of membership and community. So most of the emails you'll be getting will be coming from me, giving you updates on everything that's happening in the community. And then you have Polly, who is our head of education. She really deals in all our grassroots programs. And then Tracy, who is our head of sponsorship, who is heading up all of our sponsorship opportunities and is really kind of lobbying for kind of sponsorship externally for Women in Streaming Media to make sure that we can keep on putting on great member events. And just to say, if you are joining, if you can make sure you're on mute, just so we don't have any background noise, that would be fantastic. So do feel free to reach out to all of us or any of us. Please do, connect with us on LinkedIn. Send us an email if you want to know more about any of these areas. I will say all of us are always looking to get people on our committees to help us with all of the great projects we're running. So if you're sitting here thinking, oh, I'd love to do more with Women in Streaming Media, then now's your chance. Follow up with us at the end of this call. Anything you want to get involved in, we'll be really excited to work with you. So we're all kind of recruiting for our committees to help us make Women in Streaming Media even bigger. So in terms of our upcoming events, Women in Streaming Media will be at IBC. We have a great roster of events coming up that we're getting involved in. So on Saturday, the 16th of September, we're getting involved with the flash mob. This is at the entrance of IBC in front of the BT truck outside the RAI. So anyone that is at IBC, it'd be great to see you kind of taking part of this flash mob with us. We'll be doing it with some other organisations such as RISE, etc. as well. There'll be a photo shoot, there'll be coffee, there'll be a big gathering. I'm really excited for this. So do come along and get involved with that. One of our members will also be on a panel on Saturday as well at 10 o'clock, just after that. So Maria Ingold will be on the panel Super Smart or Shockingly Stupid, Gaining Competitive Edge in AI. And then following that on Sunday, We have another panel where Marla will be speaking on the Tech for Good panel on Sunday. On Sunday, we also have the Changemaker drinks in the forum between 6 and 7. And then on Monday, we'll be having our networking breakfast, a spotlight on the importance of allyship. So we're really spotlighting allyship, I'm not sure, my British accent. We're really kind of spotlighting being an ally within women in streaming media at the moment. We'll be running a project very soon on allyship within for women in this space. So that's why we're doing this networking breakfast around that. We are actually looking for sponsors for this event. So if you would love to get involved and sponsor something for women in streaming media, your logo will be there. We'll be able to kind of get you involved in the breakfast as well. So if that's something that you think that you or your company would be interested in doing, please do reach out to Tracy after this, because hopefully we can get a few sponsors for that to make it possible. And then lastly, on Monday as well, this is still TBC, but we're hopefully going to be having Lakshmi Sharma, one of our members, talking on the panel A Manifesto for Change. So it'd be great to see you at any or all of these events. And IBC is always a really exciting time for all of us across the world to get together, because obviously it's based in Europe, so it's a chance for all of our members wherever they're based to really come and see us. Another thing I really want to talk about at IBC as well is our awards. So really exciting. Women in Streaming Media actually won the IBC Social Impact Special Awards for our mentorship program in 2023. We're really, really proud to have won this. This is a lot of work over the last 5 years to get to that point. So really, really excited. And then we're also shortlisted for the diversity category at the Corporate Star Awards as well. So we're going to be at the Corporate Star Awards ceremony on Friday night, and also the Changemakers Awards ceremony on Saturday night as well. I think the Saturday night one is completely open to the public. I think the Corporate Star Awards on Friday night, you might have to have the table, but if you're going to be there, please do come and see us. Please do celebrate with us. We're really excited to be kind of recognized in those awards and be have that spotlight. So really exciting times for women in streaming media at the moment for that recognition. Any questions at all about what we're doing at IBC, etc.? I'll give a quick pause. Okay, great. Another thing I want to spotlight as well is that one of our lovely board members, Polly, our head of education, is doing a 3 Peaks challenge very, very soon. For those of you that don't know, 3 Peaks challenge is climbing Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike and Snowdon all in 24 hours. So you kind of start at silly o'clock in the morning, you climb one mountain, you jump in a bus, you sleep on the bus, someone drives you to the next mountain, and so on until you've completed all 3 of the mountains in 24 hours. And she's doing this to raise money so that we can do our first ever UK Women in Streaming Media hackathons for girls. This hackathon will aim to get girls who love coding and working on a streaming media solution, and to showcase what awesome careers are available to women in streaming media. So we're really hoping that Polly doing this can make sure that happens. She's really, really close to her £600 target. I think she's like £540. So if you can help her reach it by donating, the link is there, and then I'll be sending an email out after this call anyway for you to get involved. So I'm really excited for Polly to do this. She's already been doing lots of training for it. So I know she's going to be amazing. So I'm going to pause very quickly for questions before I hand you over to Rose. Does anyone have any questions at all about any of the things I've mentioned, or anything to do with membership at Women in Streaming Media?
The only thing that I would say, which is what I always say when we have these types of meetings, is if you are a woman and this is sort of the first time that you're engaging with us, please figure out one of these pillars to get involved with. You can reach out to Megan for the mentorship program, to Polly for education, to Megan Davies for membership, and to Tracy for sponsorship, and Florence for speaker engagement if you're interested in being visible at any of the conferences and events that we place speakers on. We really want, like, we have 1,300 members now, and the amount of members that are active right now just doesn't align. So we really want to get you all activated and engaged and working on something that excites you.
Definitely. I'll be on the last slide, just when I tell you about the next meetup, I'll be putting my email address there as well. For those of you that maybe saw this through LinkedIn and aren't signed up kind of officially as a member, you can just drop me an email after this. I can add you to the membership. We can talk about anything you might want to get involved in as well. So yeah, we're really keen for everyone to get as involved as possible. You know, a community isn't a community without us all working together and helping each other.
I would just say, if there are people, could we do like a poll or something for the people that are going to IBC, so we can make sure that we all do spend some time together? I don't know if there's an easy way to do that on here, or I don't know, throw it in the chat, I guess. You guys might know more than me.
Definitely, I could do a poll at the end of this, but I'm going to be sending an email out after this call, so I could also put some details in there and just ask everyone who will be coming to IBC just to respond to us and say, hey, I'll be there. I can set up an email list of all of us that are going to be there, and maybe we can put a WhatsApp group together or something like that, and all get together and all, you know, have some drinks somewhere. That would be great fun.
Fantastic.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to hand you over to the lovely Rose now. I'm really excited for her talk, and I think it's going to be really, really useful. I know it's going to be useful for me, that's for sure.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Megan. And thank you so much to the ladies of Women in Streaming Media for having me today. I'm super excited. I'm going to share my screen here, make sure that everyone can see the screen. Let's see, I have this over here, and it should be this screen that I'm sharing. There we go. Can everyone see the screen? Great, great. Okay, so are you ready for social media live streaming and you? I'm sure you are. But first, I wanted to make sure that you know a little bit about me, because you probably don't know who I am. So my name is Rose Caiazzo. It's pronounced Caiazzo, but if we were in Italy, we would say Caiazzo with the hand. My mother and I are actually in Italy in that photo. And I'm living the dream here in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I'm not sure if anyone has ever heard of that area. It's right below Yellowstone National Park. I do a lot of biking and climbing, and I'm going actually to Yellowstone next week with my best friend from kindergarten. So I'm super excited about her and I just taking off and doing all the fun things that Jackson Hole and Yellowstone have to offer. So a little bit about me is that I opened 2 businesses, not 1, but 2 in 2008. So it's been a while, about 16 years. And in one of them, I teach the secrets of social media. So that's my club, right? And my clients love when I give them unique, individualized attention in what I call a social media makeover, plus other secrets to success. And in my circle, I teach live streaming to ladies like yourself to represent really well in the public eye. So when I first started in social media, many thought it was a fad. And I don't think anyone thinks live streaming is a fad per se at this point, but I'm sure we can all agree that social media and live streaming are very valuable communication tools for our public personas as personal women. So this is why my businesses are finally merging, because I'm also a professional voice talent. So that means I do GPS apps and radio commercials, these types of things. I'm also an event MC, and I had a syndicated radio show. Plus, I was a public speaking teacher at one time, and I do on-camera acting from time to time. But super important to realize and understand that acting is way different than having a message to give as your own authentic self on a live stream. And being on camera is quite different than speaking in public. After all, you are speaking to what we call the green dot. So that's why streaming and media, Women in Streaming Media and myself have teamed up to give you access to a free weekly workshop series, which is a tiny taste of my live streaming secret circle, try to say that 5 times fast, which goes into depth about jitters, being strategic with your messaging, and genuinely feeling good on camera. And I'll tell you more about that later, because it's almost time to chat about authenticity, which is here. So first, I wanted to know a little bit more about you. I might know a little bit about you because you're a varied group, but I think Megan is going to submit a poll now, so that way we can learn more about who you are, right? So what size company do you work for? Just so we get a sense of if you work for yourself, if you work for a larger company or a smaller company. Great. Okay. But the main thing is that we all have a common thread here, right? The first one is that we're all women. Most of us in this meeting are women. I know that there are some men here. However, we're all interested in the organization Women in Streaming Media, which is great. And we want to develop further in our careers. So for us to learn more about you, I think might also be helpful is for you to put a little quick 2-sentence intro into the chat. That way we can all connect with each other, especially in a very authentic way. So let's get into this now, right? First, I wanted to say, what does this title of my presentation even mean? Social media, live streaming, and you. Attracting your audience with true authenticity. So I love talking about authenticity, but I also use the word true before the word authenticity. So doesn't authenticity mean to be true? Why do you think I use the word true before authenticity? You can definitely put those things in the chat. Because authenticity means not false or copied. It's genuine, it's real, right? But there can be a very, very slight difference of a person being on instead of being authentic. And people sometimes get this wrong. And I'm sure you've seen this before when people are on camera doing their thing and they're not quite connected to you or their message, right? So when you do things in frozen form, you can really showcase your authenticity or at least seem authentic. One of the examples I give here is with your LinkedIn picture. So let's say you see a picture of a woman on LinkedIn that you're going to see speaking at an event. And you go to that event and you're looking for this woman that looks like a picture, but she doesn't actually look like her picture at all. And I know this because it's happened to me, right? But it almost feels like there's no resemblance, that there wasn't any connection, and that connection you thought you had has now separated, right? Now, so that's kind of the frozen form, what I explained. But when you're doing things in fluid form, when we're talking video, like right now I'm being recorded, Zoom is a form of live streaming, yes, because you're listening live to what I'm saying. It's not pre-recorded. And the real you is coming out. You're hearing my voice. You're watching my mouth move in certain directions, right? There's a wrinkle here in my lip that I hate every time I talk, but I've gotten over it. But video can also have things like stitching, right? Stitching can be fun, especially if we're doing it on TikTok and we're adding music and all the fun things. But people also realize, oh, is that real? Oh, okay. Or you can erase and start again, right? With video. So I can't tell you how many times my clients have come to me and said, all right, I did like 30 takes and I think this is the best one, right? How many times have you done that where you've actually recorded something that is, is going to be pushed out there into the public realm and you're like, no, this needs to be perfect. Okay. So frozen as opposed to fluid. And, I think it's very different when you're talking about live streaming, right? Right. Which I think we all can agree that live streaming is a form of social media and can be used in our personal, but talking about business strategy. Now, everyone knows LinkedIn is the business platform, right? Most people look at Facebook as the fun platform. Or is that really the case these days? Talking business, as women, we all want to shine on LinkedIn, right? We can have a great picture of ourselves or video highlighted. We can showcase our past in resume form, which is kind of nice. We get a quick glimpse at, oh, okay, look at all their background. That's kind of nice. We can connect with others, but sometimes that's superficially, right? We're not really making those deeper connections there unless we're doing the sharing. So if you share on LinkedIn, in addition to shining, so sharing and shining are perfect, it's a form of social media, right? You need to be social as well on LinkedIn. So to show you're a leader in the space, like in these photos, can anyone guess which ones got the most engagement? You can come off of your mute and indicate which ones you think got the most engagement if you're feeling confident. Anyone?
The one with the pictures of people.
Say again?
The one with the pictures of the people where you can kind of see their faces and.
That's exactly right. And I mean by a landslide. Okay, I didn't show the likes and comments below each of these. However, those were the ones that got the most engagement. Pretty interesting. So we as women, we can share knowledge. We can share interesting things about business using pictures, maybe even some video. If you're looking to move up in the industry and stay in corporate, what does your LinkedIn profile really say about you? Is it authentic? Maybe go back through there and see that you're shining through as your true authentic person. If you work for yourself, do you need to build your brand to be approached or to ask to work together, right? Because they're going to look at your LinkedIn. Do you seem authentic? We're there again, that authenticity. Now, what I wanted to do here is I wanted to do a quick yay or nay of what to share on LinkedIn, okay? So these can also be ideas for you to share on any of your social media, but you can either type in the chat or use the thumbs up feature. We're talking about the different types of things to share on LinkedIn. Okay, so give me a yay or nay. Uplifting quotes. I think perhaps some people would say nay. However, what if it was a holiday, right? So in the United States, our holidays differ from Europe and other parts of the world. So for a holiday, let's say Martin Luther King Jr., and it was his birthday, or it was the day that we remember him, it might be okay to do an uplifting quote given by Martin Luther King Jr. here. So don't always, nix them out. Like, I don't know, that kind of seems a little soft for LinkedIn. It really can be a way to use it in the proper way. So in the example that I gave you. What about facts about where you live? Okay. Yay or nay? So what if, like, I live in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which not everyone knows where that is. But when I say Yellowstone National Park, most people in the world know where that is. So I live right below it. And let's say I have a client that works in real estate, which I do. And that person can post about the area because that makes sense. They're teaching other people about the area so that possibly people that are looking to move into this area feel welcomed and also feel excited about that type of picture or what they might know about the area. So don't always put that, aside as well. Share a news piece and give thoughts on it. Yes, of course, we would share that on LinkedIn, right? You share a news piece and not just share it, but people want to know your opinion on it. Like, what is your thought on this particular piece? And if you have a call to action, throw that in there too. Call to action meaning, right? Like, do this. Another one would be sharing testimonials from customers or clients. That's always a hot button because you would have a picture of a person and have this quote around it, right? And those are definitely something that you can share on LinkedIn. What about a blog post, or either it's of your own or of others? That could definitely be shared on LinkedIn, right? I would say if it's your personal blog, just be a little thoughtful and careful about that on LinkedIn, because You want to make sure that you're sharing appropriate personal details. Okay, what about beautiful pictures of nature, which is what I have on the slide there. But you're probably thinking, why would I ever share something like that? So here's the example I'm going to give. If you return from a vacation, right? You might not want to do it while you're on vacation for people to know, like, oh, I don't want people to know that I'm actually in Greece right now, like taking this trip or what have you. That's fine, but when you return, you can talk about the work-life balance and how important it is to you, or how important it is to take a break, or how important it is to disconnect and reconnect. So those types of things definitely can be shared as well. What about a throwback Thursday or a flashback Friday using a hashtag in front, right? Those can work too, because you could show that you won an award many years ago, or a couple years ago, or last week. You could even throw it on there. What about press mentions of you? Yes, we see that a lot on LinkedIn, and those get a ton of likes on LinkedIn because people like to see award-winning and press mentions and all those things. What about contests and giveaways? Now, this can be a little tricky. Obviously, you're not going to share something from your favorite Instagram account there on LinkedIn. But what if your company was doing a really special contest or giveaway and you wanted to make sure that people had the option to be in there? What a great thing, right? We can absolutely share about that as long as it is appropriate in the business style. I have a picture of a woman with a mask on. Why is that? Because what about your COVID-19 story? That could be appropriate too, especially if you bring in things about working in business at that time that is appropriate. What about live or recorded video tutorials? People love these. And of course, I mentioned the big V, video, right? So recording tutorials can be something that maybe there's something within your business that you can teach and have people learn. And that's something that people love to watch. Behind the scenes, yay or nay? Yes, and this works a lot on LinkedIn. I know that a lot of our members and board members are doing this at shows, right? So this is definitely something that you can work on with posting as well, is something behind the scenes, like you're not actually attending during a session, but maybe after the session, you're taking a picture with your colleagues and making a mention about the event. Then there's also highlighting staff or people that you work with, which I just mentioned. That's definitely a yay. Tagging another business. I think a lot of times people tend to forget this and they just mention the business name. You have a higher chance of the business getting notified and indicating that, ooh, okay, who's talking about me now? A lot of these larger companies are using social listening. And if they like what you're saying, they will interact, which again, tags the algorithm to allow for that to appear in people's feeds that like that other company. So always keep that in mind about tagging that business that you want to highlight in your post. How you give back to nonprofits? Yay, definitely yay, because when you're serving others, there's nothing more that says, wow, this person is very giving of their knowledge. They are very knowledgeable and they want to give back. What about customer stories? Yes, customer stories are very powerful as well. As you know, on some of the other platforms, people use long form, which a customer story could even be placed into an article onto your LinkedIn profile. Okay. And the last one I was going to say with a yay or nay is comics or memes. Yay or nay? I know a lot of people are going to nay this, or they're naying it in their head. You are, aren't you? Because I would too, until, of course, I came upon a woman who was a stand-up comedian. Now, would it be appropriate all the time? Probably not. Maybe around the holidays or to explain something? Yes. So the point is with this yay or nay exercise is that anything can work on LinkedIn, even the fun. Especially if you spin it the proper way from a business angle for LinkedIn, you will get people looking at it. So The other point is you need a great content mix, but you also need to make it your own. And if you need a place to put your strategy, I gave you this little Excel spreadsheet I developed in the bottom right-hand corner. So if you'd like something like that to kind of keep your strategy together, either write to me on LinkedIn or email me direct. And my last slide, I'll show you my email address. I always say things like doing something new one time a month is better than doing it this many times per month, 0, right? Hard sells are going to be few and far between, and soft sells can be used a bit more using stories. And then, of course, serving others is always fun. So this next slide, and before we go into this slide, I can say that all of those things that we yay or nayed, they can all be shared via video or live stream. You knew I was going to go there. Of course I am. And here's a thought as to why getting used to doing live streams is better. Live fosters instant trust with others. You may or may not realize that, but it does. Trust is what makes businesses want to hire you. It also makes them want to work with you, or at least find out more about you. And once you've mastered live streaming, video is easy peasy. You're all laughing at me. Why? Because I know video is not easy. However, we talked about the stitching. We talked about, well, we didn't talk about filters, but these types of things are not really used on live streaming at this point, right? So for you to come on camera and hit the go button, tell your message authentically, and then say, all right, that's it, folks, and then you're done, is a lot different than stitching or using filters. With the rise of artificial intelligence, aka AI, people are wondering, is that a real person? Is she real? Like you see that picture there with regards to the woman, not that she's a bad looking woman, but all of a sudden she became a supermodel, right? And she was actually saying in the video, because this was just a little snippet I took, and she's saying, this filter should be illegal. And here this was making her amazing looking, right? So just want to make sure that everyone's muted at this time. So that way we'll just keep continuing with the presentation. But I wanted to do another quick poll. And that one is, I think Megan's going to put that one on the screen. Yes. I think we have. Yes. Okay. Which live streaming channels in your own business social media do you use? So what we're asking is, if you work for a larger corporate business and you're using live streaming, that's fine. But what we're asking is, are you using live streaming in your personal social media, like let's say for LinkedIn, to talk about business? And that's what we're curious about. So if you click one, or I hope that you can click, well, it looks like you can only click one. So click the one that you mostly use, and then hit that submit button. So that way we can all kind of learn from that as well. Now, is it fair to say that we could all have a voice using live streaming? And could we add it one time a month instead of this many times? What would you say? How would you say it? How long would it be? What would you wear? What does the background look like? Would anyone else be with you in the live stream? Like I said earlier, these are the things that perhaps you haven't thought about. Or I know you knew these things existed, but you never really wanted to go there. So that's why, which I'm going to change the slide here, is why all the things about being on camera and live streaming will be covered in the free 5-week workshop I'm giving, with support from Women in Streaming Media, which gives you a deeper look into putting yourself on camera, but being okay with it too, right? Okay, it's called the Live Streaming Secret Circle, and this workshop, this workshop series is a light version of my more extensive program, which is totally free, totally on your own time. and totally awesome when it comes to learning. I'm not gonna lie. So the live streams will be there, but you can watch the replays, and you can start the process now by joining the private Facebook group that we've developed. After this presentation, Women in Streaming Media will send an email with the link to invite you. And once you're in, you'll see how the free program works. So we basically have 5 weeks together in a private place that's only women. Everyone can get acquainted with one another. It's an open community where you can network as well. We can get familiar with what you do in streaming or what you plan to do in streaming. And each week we focus on a specific area of being on camera, and you can ask questions in the group at any time. There'll also be 4 short level up projects to do, which is my fancy name for homework. And then you'll be ready to hit the ground running with any speaker opportunities, podcasts, webinars, and of course, live streams that are either run by you or by another person, but especially the ones that are run or that will be starting to run by women in streaming media. Now you know why we're doing this. So I hope I've given you at least one aha moment in this short time we've had together. You can find me everywhere as Jackson Hole Rose. And I think now I'm going to stop my share because it's time for Q&A.
Did I not tell you she was wonderful?
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Does anyone have any questions? Although I thought the poll was quite interesting, because 75% of us are not using live streaming, and as I said, I'm definitely one of them. So I'm feeling very inspired right now. Yes, Megan, you have a question.
So I feel like with a lot of it, I answered wrong, but I think you kind of knew that and that was going to happen because I have always really separated like professional from personal. But the way that you introduced it and saying like, okay, you can say a quote if it's related to a holiday, or you can talk about a throwback Thursday. Like I would never put that in, but it makes sense. Like, oh, but don't forget, like we won this award, last year. So I think that was a really interesting perspective. So I appreciate that. And then when we go through this course, you said that it is self-paced so it's like on demand. Okay, perfect.
I'll be doing live streams inside a private Facebook group. And so people can access it whenever they want to. Plus, the level up, which is the homework, which will be really fun to do and get people's perspective on the things that they tried, what worked, what didn't work, and how others can learn from what other women have tried.
I love it. I also feel a little targeted from all of the things that you put about on the LinkedIn stuff, but it's okay. I learned a lot.
Well, I think you use it very well. And that's why, remember, there was only 2 things that you shared there, right? The other picture was a picture of you, but someone else posted it. So don't feel targeted. Feel that you are the leader in this space. And the reason why I highlighted you is because LinkedIn is always seen as must have picture, must have bio, must have click button, right? It's not always like that. And people like that little bit of personality within the posts. And that's what you do, Megan, and you do such a great job of it.
Well, thank you.
So any other questions or aha moments? I, of course, love those too. Well, Megan, it's up to you. We can either start a conversation, you and I, and see how people respond, or we can just let things go.
It doesn't necessarily have to be around this topic. If you're new and this is your first time engaging with us, feel free to jump in and just talk about whatever is on your mind right now.
Definitely. I know I've been reading a few of your comments. There seems like there's a few people who are new to Women in Streaming Media, which is really exciting. So I see everyone's been introducing themselves in the comments. So do follow everyone. Do go to our website and sign up for free membership. Our website will be changing soon, so we'll have a proper kind of how to become a member. But at the moment, there's a kind of join button where you can fill out a Google form, and we'll get that. And I will be sending an email out directly after this with all the details of Rose's course. I will be taking part in this course, most definitely, because I need a lot of help with live streaming. So you'll be in good company with me and Rose while I'm figuring it out as well.
And I'm just getting around to reading the comments, which are very interesting. In addition to, of course, people introducing themselves. I love this because this is where the personality comes out and the ladies shine, right? We all want to shine in our own special way. It's not like you're following someone else's template. It doesn't work like that, especially when you're on camera, right?
I'm going to do a very quick poll actually about who will be at IBC, so we can just find out how many of us will be there. And then hopefully, I'm just going to launch that. Let us know if you'll be at IBC, because we're very excited about hopefully seeing you all.
While that poll is going on, I think in the comment section and chat, I saw one interesting comment about the imposter syndrome piece of it. And why don't we live stream more? And Rose, it would be great to get your sort of thoughts on that.
Oh, yes. I just read that comment. There were so many I couldn't read while I was presenting, but I just saw that one. And this is definitely something we talk about in that circle together, about this imposter syndrome and what it means, right? So it's this feeling that we get that we're not really supposed to be talking about something, perhaps. Or imposter syndrome, it can actually appear in many different forms, right? Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have shared that. Or do I really look like that? I'm not really sure. Maybe I shouldn't share. So a lot of times people don't share, especially if they feel like, oh, look at me. I feel like I'm touting myself all the time. Like, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me. Well, that's why we talked about that different strategy and not having it feel like it's all about you. And so when you share about yourself, it's authentic and things are really authentically coming through. So there are definitely some ways to get past the imposter syndrome, in addition to other things like just nerves and jitters in general. You know, do you make the same motions when you talk? Like, what about your nonverbals? In addition to, a lot of people don't like their voice, right? They hear themselves on camera or recording something. They're like, oh, I can't stand the sound of my voice. I hate it, right? So one of the program pieces is falling in love with your voice, because there's so much about it that really tunes yourself into the message that you're giving, as opposed to being in that on position.
Christina, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. No, I really loved your presentation, Rose. That was really, really interesting. I have a question for you, and I don't know, it feels a little weird. So I'm so in the mode of being an employee, and now I'm taking steps to launch my coaching practice. And I feel weird about jumping in and promoting it on LinkedIn, where all my business contacts are. I've purposely kept my Facebook network and my LinkedIn network almost completely exclusive. And that's because in my 20s, my Facebook thing had a bunch of me and my friends around in our bikinis. And I thought that none of the guys in my male-dominated industry needed to see that. Also, I do stand-up comedy, and, you know, I used to be a bit more blue than I am now. So I also thought my business contacts didn't need to see my dirty jokes. So I've been toying with the idea of maybe just starting with social engagement and some promotion on the Facebook platform while I build it up. And then when it's starting to crystallize, start also doing it on LinkedIn. I was just curious if you have any opinions about that.
Sure. So first of all, I'd say I'd watch the bikinis on LinkedIn.
Well, now that I'm 43, there's not too many bikinis anymore. But oh yeah, oh LinkedIn. Yeah, no, there were never bikinis on LinkedIn, but yeah, a lot
Well,
of it on
what I would say, okay, for in this example specifically, is when you start to share on Facebook about it, and when you start to feel comfortable sharing on LinkedIn about it, those messages are going to look different. It's not going to be a strict copy paste. You know, when you see those messages, right, that are exactly the same on each platform. I know we've done it, or we've seen our business do it. This is what's also changing about social media, is that the message and the way you present it on LinkedIn is going to be slightly spun differently than how you would post it on Facebook. So that would be something that I would keep in mind, that you're probably going to have to either rewrite or use different pictures on LinkedIn as opposed to what you use on Facebook. And I'll also mention, this is why we have the controls that we do with regards to Facebook, right? We can actually keep something public, or we can keep it just as sharing with friends. So I would also encourage you and everyone here, if you haven't looked at it lately, take a look at your Facebook controls. What exactly are you sharing, right? With the world? Like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize all these things are public, right? And did you realize your connections with each person can also change? So people that I don't know, that I've never met before in person, I know that they may want to connect with me because they want to work with social media or do some live streaming videos, or, you know, this on-camera stuff. But I don't know them, right? So I don't really want them to see my posts. There's an area in the Facebook area where they can be tagged as something else as opposed to a friend. So I would encourage everyone to take a look. It's called an acquaintance, and those acquaintances only get public posts. So these are the things and the nuances about social media in general that are changing. But thank you so much for sharing that. And I love that you're a stand-up comedian. This is great.
Thank you. Do you mind if I ask you a part B of that question?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you. I'll be quick. So no, that's really good insight, and I really appreciate that. And I'm actually, but I guess I'm not as concerned about the messaging. And I know that they're two different platforms, and I would, you know, do them in different ways in the wording. But I guess my concern is I don't want to promote a half-baked emerging business that I don't even have a website yet on LinkedIn in front of, you know, my professional network. I was thinking about just doing that with friends and family and comedy fans on the Facebook first.
Yes, you have just triggered me to go, ooh, because this is the thing. People love emerging businesses. How do you share about yourself moving and shifting into this new way? Can you do that appropriately with you working at the place that you're working, right? So that all depends. But people do love to watch people shift and change and morph and pivot, right? We use that word so much during COVID-19, was that pivoting word, but this is what you're doing. You're doing a massive pivot. And like you said, you may be in your 40s and there may not be bikini pictures anymore, but you have all this experience that you have put together to create this wonderful new thing that's happening for you. And these things are definitely something that you can share and get some good, even if it's asking feedback, or if you're sharing small things like today, I thought about this. What do you think? Right? Always asking a question too, to see if people are also looking at things the way you are and thinking outside the box. So hopefully that's helpful.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I'm definitely going to take your course. Thank you so much. It's great.
Oh, good.
Oh.
Anyone else have a question or thought on any of the things in the chat as well? I'm still trying to read the chat.
I have one question. I'm not sure if I missed it, or for the cadence of the LinkedIn posts, as I do have my own business, and so I know that that's something that's on my goal list to get better at posting and just kind of getting in front of people in that way. And I love all the suggestions and the varied ways of doing that can still be spun towards business. So do you have a recommendation of like once a week, any sort of cadence that you feel? Some folks I know like post a lot because they're in my feed, and I'm like, that seems like a lot, because it's multiple times a week. But I'm just curious what your experience is.
Yes, and it can be overwhelming to have someone in your feed all the time, and you only really get one shot at that, because if you do start to overbug someone, they just simply have to click on it and say, don't show me this anymore, or they're gonna, say, take a break from this person for 30 days. There's all kinds of options, right? So you don't want to do a super bug. Now, everyone has their own opinion on this. However, I do feel that sometimes when you have something major going, like if you're at an event, if you're going to IBC and that's something that is occurring every day, to post each day something very different that you're learning, or posting with the speaker themselves, or posing with your colleagues and giving different types of information each day can be important. Or if you say, you know what, I'm just going to do one wrap-up post, that's okay too. It has to be what you feel comfortable with. What I've found a lot of my clients feel comfortable with is 1 time a week, right? Because 1 time a week turns into 4 or 5 times a month. And then when you add that all up to be over 12 months, there's a lot of posts in there, right? Keeping people updated. So again, it's about what you feel comfortable with and how you want to share, because some people don't always share the right way, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Any other questions? We're at 9:54 a.m. my time.